he's using a lot of people's stuff, and it's like, bruh, I get it. You shining, you want to keep shining, but you got to give brothers credit for the stuff they said, man. What's good with you, bro? You got the gunshots going off. What's good with you, man?
Got the nukes. Duke Nukem's out today, man, because I know we about to drop some knowledge. What's good, Angry Man? Thank you so much for being here, man.
No doubt, man. Hey, I appreciate you having me on the show, bro.
Oh man, hey, listen, we got to clear up some stuff. So I'm glad we're going to talk about this and give a little bit of a context to a lot of the guys in the chat too as well, who are particularly either new to particularly to the space, because we do have a lot of that, right? There's a lot of generated interest within the Manosphere space. So a lot of guys are definitely interested in certain characters that we actually discuss on this show. As you know, we actually did criticize you on this particular show, right? And we talked about actually, and I want to actually go over that too as well, because I want anybody know the main issue I had was the gay comment, right? The gay, illusions. I didn't really have anything in terms of your content, because as you know, I do respect the stuff you put out, and I've said that in those videos. My main thing is, and I've said that with everybody else on the space that come in and do that, the Tommy Sotomayors, the what do you call it? What's that other dude that started doing that now? Everybody gets it when you go that route. I like arguments to be based off the merits, and I think that's the conversation we're going to have here today about intellectual property. So with that being said, I want to say thank you for coming up here even after that, because what that shows is that, hey, in this space, real men understand how to take criticism and march the fuck forward and handle that shit. So this is an example right here for a lot of you closeted dudes that like to sit there and be keyboard warriors or whatever the hell, or some of you content creators out there that, oh, thou shalt not talk about me, or thou shalt not say shit, or I'm gonna be offended. This is how you handle it. This is how you come up and you talk about it and you give a little bit of context, and that's what I hope for us to have today.
No doubt, man. Hey, I didn't take any offense to it. I really don't have a problem with constructive criticism. I just don't like when people, try to come at you sideways. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have an issue with it, man. In fact, when I saw the show because my man Ty City had shared it on his community tab. And I seen the show, and I'm looking at the show, and I'm like, oh shit, I like this joint. Like y'all got the right type of energy. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody don't have like good energy, Yeah. So when I saw it, I was like, let me check out these fellas, see what they talking about, And I've been checking you out lately solo. Like you've been like doing solo shows, and like the stuff you was saying, I'm like, yeah, I can rock with that. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that. Real talk. I just like to keep things straightforward, and just talk about the things like the logic that matters, because I think in this space, a lot of us, man, we've kind of lost our way a little bit, right? In terms of whether we get the influence that comes with a lot of this stuff that gets into some of the content creators' heads, or even come down to generally how we treat each other content creators too as well, right? And one of the things I started to notice is, especially in this space, you start to see a lot of people try to almost like close off or gatekeep the particular space, and you see, and it's almost like it's splintered. Now you see those certain groups that behave in those manners, whether you guys don't see it in front, or because we see a lot of that stuff behind the scenes. And with our case, it's mainly the Fresh and Fit boys, what they do with the Instagram accounts of people that is associated with us just because we've criticized them. And I keep telling them all the time, I don't hate y'all, I don't have any problems with y'all. Is y'all aligned to people? Just be straight. If you pay for box, teach dudes how to pay for box. There's a hell of a dude out there that's probably gonna need that knowledge. Like, why are we trying to pretend and hide? Like, what you ashamed of, dog? But that's the thing. So I call that out. So they have a problem with it, but it's just going through all that stuff and being able to understand, hey, okay, maybe I'm doing this. Let's figure out how to course correct and move on. That's literally the entire point, because this space is needed for that. There's a lot of one thing I've noticed, a lot of people who are afraid to talk about certain things, afraid to criticize certain creators, and not saying that you have to hate them, right? Because a lot of audience, they believe that, if you criticize somebody, you hate them. That's a very elementary way of thinking, of viewing the world, right? You criticize somebody because you want them to get better. We generally want this space to be better for dudes. So we're going to criticize it. The ideas that work versus the ideas that are going to leave you in a perpetual victimhood state.
Word.
So, I mean, let's even go ahead and get into it. So the main thing was the intellectual property beef that you guys had with you and Kevin Samuels kind of had going on. Can you go ahead and break down the overall context of that situation to the audience?
Well, originally when Kevin first came into the space, I was introduced to Kevin on O'Shea's Brother Pill podcast. I used to go on there and was frequently on there until me and O'Shea fell out. And when I first was on there, the first time I had a conversation with Kevin, like we clicked, you know what I'm saying? He was like, yo, let's link up or whatever. And, some dudes, if I click with them, like I'll give them my personal phone number, you know what I'm saying? And Kevin had my phone number. So we would chop it up about, YouTube and strategy and, what type of equipment to use. And, and sometimes we just chop it up just on some regular dude type stuff. You know what I'm saying? So me and Kevin, we started out being cool with each other. And, we both on YouTube doing our thing or whatever. Originally, he was doing the image consulting, trying to, civilize some of these dudes that can't really be civilized. Yeah, like me and Kevin, we was cool or whatever. And, we all are doing the same thing, trying to build our platforms and things of that nature. And me and Kevin kind of stopped kicking it. We kind of stopped, which happens, dudes start going their separate ways or whatever. And, he finally found his niche, you know what I'm saying? As far as like what works for him, which a lot of these dudes don't realize what works for Kevin is not going to work for you. It's going to be what you find that works for you. You know what I'm saying? So when he caught fire and blew up, it was like, okay, cool. Kevin blew up. That's what's up, And originally, I didn't have an issue with that. I still don't have an issue with that. But the moment he blew up, all of a sudden I had trolls like flooding into my chat room. Angry man, Kevin doing big things and you over here doing XYZ. And it's like, and they were trying their best to pit me against Kevin. And for a long time, I was like, yo, I'm happy for that man's success. Stop coming over here trying to put me against another man, blah, blah, blah. And it went on like that for a while. And I really didn't have an issue with Kevin per se. But then people started telling me, yo, Kevin's using your talking points. And I was like, what you mean? And it was like, yo, he's using your talking points. Now, at first, I started feeling like, okay, he said something that I said. That's not a big issue. You know what I'm saying? Because we hear people saying stuff all the time and we might repeat it or we might unknowingly say the same thing. You know what I'm saying? No ideas original. But then somebody came to me and they was like, yo, he used your hyena analogy.
Oh, I thought that came for Tommy Sotomayor.
I don't know if Tommy had did it before me.
Okay.
I didn't. Somebody also told me that Phil from the Advice Show said something about hyenas. I don't know who did it before me. I just know that when I did it, I did a whole show on it. Like you would have thought it was a National Geographic show.
Yeah.
Because I broke down the similarities between the way hyenas function in their culture and the way like a lot of ratchet black women function in their culture.
Yeah.
And it's so similar that everybody like, yo, that's ill. So it's like, okay, he used it. All right, cool. But then he went and used my color purple analogy too. Yeah, where I broke down the color purple. And it's like, I wasn't upset that he used it. I was upset that it's like, bruh, give me a shout out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, give me a shout out. If I use somebody, if somebody does something or says something that is original, or even if they say it and it really catches on, I'm not just gonna say that. I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's just like so-and-so says, and then I'll say it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I might be like, yo, like Grinch say, Latinas smell better. You know what I'm saying? Something like that that's funny and catchy, or something that's really prolific. I'm gonna, like with Kevin. Kevin always says, on YouTube, it's like we're flying the plane while we're building it. So whenever I say that, I'll quote him. I'll say, just like Kevin says, blah, 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 or just like BGS says, or whoever I quote.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even if I were to ever use anything that O'Shea says, which I don't tend to do that, But if I was to say, yeah, you trying to lick a chick's ankles from the back or some shit, because I know everybody's catchphrases. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody's material. You feel what I'm saying? So if we're black men and we're doing something that's never been done before, and I feel like we should be doing this the same way that anybody else, any other group of men would be doing it. Because if you look at academia, whenever somebody uses a Socrates quote, they're going to quote him. They're going to say Socrates, or they're going to say, even today, if somebody uses something Jordan Peterson says, they're going to say Jordan Peterson. They're not just going to just use it and then give people and I'm not saying that Kevin's trying to pawn it off as his own, but what he's doing is he's leaving it up to interpretation for people to believe that it's his own. And it's like,
that's the bigger platform, people aren't really going to bother to do the research.
Exactly. They're not going to do the research. And then, as his platform gets bigger and more people are coming into space, then you get people coming to your channel and you say something that you came up with, and they're like, why are you stealing from Kevin? It's like, bruh, come on with that. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, you don't even gotta like a guy to give him credit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when, and guys here, they don't think this is intellectual property, but it is. We're broadcasting. We're creating catalogs of videos talking about a lot of concepts that a lot of brothers wouldn't even dare. A lot of brothers wouldn't delve into, and a lot of brothers wouldn't even have the know-how to even think about that. You got brothers walking around and they'll be in a relationship with a chick and she'll be doing stuff and he'll know in his mind that he don't like it, but he doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's this? This is weird. Like, what is she doing? Because women are clever. They're clever when it comes to like being manipulative or, gaslighting and things of that nature. So when you have somebody break it down for a brother, they're going to think, oh man, that's prolific. Like, wow, that really helped me out. And with Kevin, he's using a lot of people's stuff. It's not just my stuff. He's using Tommy's stuff. He's using Jason Black's stuff. He's using a lot of people's stuff. And it's like, bruh, I get it. You shining. You want to keep shining. But you got to give brothers credit for the stuff they said, man.
Yeah.
Like, you got to. There's no way around that, man, because you're going to end up having the space really start to dislike you. And I think a lot of that is already happening. You know what I'm saying? Where there's guys, because I'm not the only one that's complained about it.
One thing I have noticed about that too, now that you mentioned, is that it's almost like, because it's not even the content creators. I blame the audience too, because the audience, essentially what they end up doing, they get into this mode wherever they hear some kind of criticism about Kevin Samuels, or even not just Kevin Samuels, but any of their favorite content creator. And believe me, I know, because we criticize a lot of them, right? Every time you do that, like the minute you do that, all of these guys come in waves and they're calling you a hater, cloud chaser, all these different things. And it's like, what y'all don't understand is you guys are building a culture where he cannot be touched, he who cannot be said. And that starts to get dangerous, because we all know that there are a lot of echo chambers in this particular space. And when there are echo chambers in the space, how would you know that at some point this guy's going to get into his head that he's right about everything? Before you know it, he's going to start talking about a subject that he knows nothing about, but still believes that he's right. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy when you look at that. So it's like, this is why people always have to be challenged. This is why you always have to say, okay, what is that? What are you trying to say? Like, what does that mean? And I'm looking at the real world. That doesn't matter. Like Donovan Sharp, for example, right? Where we're talking about some of his facts, data, and statistics. And it's one of those things where, like, a lot of the stuff that you're saying that you got it from watching Kevin Samuels' show and Fresh and Fit show. What is that, bro? Like Reddit and doing all that? That's not, and you're talking about your personal experience. Okay, fine. Okay, that's good, but then you can't then just say that the women talking about their personal experience, it don't matter, because then we start to look like hypocrites. We start to look like we talk out of both sides of their mouth, and I don't stand for that. So that's the thing. So the audience, y'all got to understand that when people are talking about your content creators or your leaders or whatever you want to call it, they need to be criticized. You need to see the other step, because you don't know when you're getting led into a position where you're gonna be hurt.
One of my subscribers, came to me and he's like, "Hey, Angry Man, you should be part of that event that Donovan is having." And I was like, "Well, I don't know because I don't know Donovan like that. I don't have his information, so I don't know." He's like, "Well, I know him. I'm gonna holler at him." And so he hollered at him and he hit me back. He said, "Yo," he said he's gonna send you an invitation. And that same day, the next day, I did a show and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be at the such and such event. I'm gonna link up with Minister Jap and all that, and maybe me and him both will go over to Fresh and Fit or some shit like that," because they also offered an invitation. And the very next day, the dude hit me back and he said, "Hey, Donovan said he got to retract the invitation because of the content you did about Kevin." And I was like,
"Is Kevin going?"
No. It doesn't
Kevin does rock with Donovan Sharp. So
yeah, they do. And I'm speculating here, but I'm pretty sure Kevin probably gave me.
No, you don't need, like, here's the thing. It's not even speculation. We actually have we exposed proof that Donovan Sharp does this shit, right? We did the same thing with Steve Dean Williams off the show The 7 he used to have. He basically kicked him off because Soul TV 84 and Myron Gaines actually had an issue with what Steve Dean Williams said, because he called out Solo because they were talking about confidence, and Solo was like, "Well, I didn't really have confidence until I got the money," and rightfully so. Dean was just like, "Well, then if money gave you confidence, you never really had confidence." And apparently that set it all off because it made them look bad to whoever they were showing the show to. And before you know it, Donovan Sharp sends Steve, we have receipts of that. He sends Steve the Dean Williams a message saying, "Hey, listen, the guys are telling me, they can't really have you anymore. You're causing problems. So I have a choice where I can either keep two good guys and get rid of one, or where this is gonna go." So he ends up getting rid of Steve Dean Williams, but he's known for doing stuff like that. That's just him. Wow. Even with the debate with Alex from Playing with Fire, they recently had a debate where a lot of the points where we tried to get into Donovan Sharp's mind of where he gets a lot of his talking points that he's spewing out there, and it was actually pretty brutal, right? And when after we said and done, basically he got the call. There was actually a stream that we actually have clipped because we got receipts on your boy, but we clipped of him basically saying, "Oh yeah," so he was talking to MLD. He basically said, "Oh yeah, yeah, I just got done talking to Myron. He sent me a text and he said, don't go on their platforms anymore." So I guess that's the last time I'm going to talk to those guys. But overall, I thought it was a great stream. I'm like, what? So baby boy Myron, the boy that you brought into this space, or you helped promote into this space, you're supposed to be on their necks. You're supposed to keep your boys in line, right? And they're telling you what to do. Donovan Sharp. So I believe it. Like I believe that he had a hand in that. That's not surprising. It's within his character. He's a soft man.
See, a couple years ago, me, Obsidian, and O'Shea, that was the reason why we had squashed our little beef for a brief second, because the Donovan and O'Shea fallout. O'Shea was, from what I understand, O'Shea was upset with Donovan because Donovan was trying to do an event for the Black Manosphere, but he was trying to link in the White Manosphere, and O'Shea was like, "Nah, if we gonna do an event, we'll do our own thing. We don't need them to be part of it." And I actually agreed with O'Shea as far as that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So Obsidian called me up and he's like, "Look, man, if you are willing to squash the beef, we can put this thing together and do the thing." And I was like, "Look, if it's about business, I'll squash it for business." You know what I'm saying? But nothing really came of it. But I remember that issue that them two had, back then.
Yeah, we got receipts on that too. we got the screenshots of them doing that, them going back and forth. Yeah, it was crazy, but it shows you when you look at stuff like that. You look at Donovan Sharp, the Fresh and Fit boys, because we know the love triangle they have with Roll Tomasi and some of those guys, right? They need access to the younger audience, which makes sense from a business move, right? But where you start to lose me and you start to become disingenuous is that when the people that you help, just like you have people that you've brought up into the space, right? Imagine it's like almost like you got a certain level of responsibility. I wouldn't say that they're not, what they do is completely on you, but if you help them, you take them, you put them on shows, you basically put them out in front of the right people that are going to help them, right? Yeah. At least you got some level of degree of responsibility and mentorship, right? To be a mentor to those boys as they're moving forward, right? But for someone like Donovan Sharp and Ronald Tomasi, the guy who wrote the book on the Red Pill, apparently, right, is taking orders for these guys. It has to show any rational person saying, "Hey, listen, these dudes that are walking around touting themselves as presidents and kings of the manosphere or whatever the hell you want to call it, they're just beta boys for clout. That's what this is. Because as a man, no matter what, you stand on principle. If you see your boys basically being inconsistent with their values, meaning that they're just flying girls out and doing all these different things, but then telling the audience that, hey, these type of girls, they're just awful, bro. This is how you game them and things like that. And then you turn around and say, no, not this girl though. She's special. She's different, right? She hasn't gotten a chance to get tainted by Miami, and then come to find out she's on TikTok teaching girls how to be little Britney Renners. Okay, you're a hypocrite. Like, and in Donovan Sharp, when you come out there and see your boys messing up this bad, you hold them accountable because you're the OG. You're the guy. You're the one who helped put them on. You and Rollo Tomasi. But then when we see that even leadership doesn't have control of what's going on here, why are we surprised that this is happening in the space that we're dealing with right now? Like, why is anybody surprised there's this conniving, there's backstabbing, there's all this different stuff going on? Because there's nobody really, especially for these guys who are top influencers, there's nobody really holding the reins, or really just, there's no real organization. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's really unfortunate. Like when we started out, we tried to have it organized, but it was too many egos. It was too many egos that couldn't get it in check. Because originally, when I started seeing all of these brothers gathering together, because I'm considered, 2.0 or whatever.
Oh yeah, can you break that down too as well? The Manosphere 1.0 and 2.0, because that was another interesting point that I wanted to get into.
Yeah, originally you had Manosphere 1.0, which was guys like Black Ram, 313, K-Soul and Black, Thug Titian, Sarge Willie Pete, Mad Bus Driver X. It's so many brothers, I couldn't even name them all if I could remember all of their names, you know what I'm saying? But they were like the first guys that really was on the internet, not just YouTube, but on the internet, dropping knowledge like this. And they're kind of like unsung heroes, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the guys that are in 2.0 watch those guys and watch what they were doing. And what ended up happening when I came into the space, a lot of us were more close knit. Like we were more close knit as far as collaborating with each other and all of that. And I'm not going to say that the brothers before us didn't, because I didn't really see a lot of collaborations. I felt like when the chicks came for them, they weren't cohesive enough to really push back against it, because a lot of them got flagged and all types of crazy stuff. And, it didn't stop them, because they went to other internet outlets and continued the conversation. And a lot of them came back here. But when we started, I told the brothers, I said, we need a commission. I said, we need a commission. We need a round table where everybody is equal. Everybody has an equal say. And the only problem was when I sent out the invitations for who was going to be part of the commission, all of a sudden I started getting phone calls. I don't want to, I can't deal with this person, or I don't like this person, or this person. And I tried my best to do everything I could in order to try to mend the fences, so to speak. But a lot of guys, they just did not like each other. And I was like, look, man, y'all don't have to agree on everything. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the commission, the actual commission, those mafia bosses didn't agree on everything.
A lot of times they were competitors.
Yeah, they didn't even like each other. They didn't like each other. The point was structure. The point was to be you're stronger together than you are apart. And for a little while, we had sort of a pseudo, commission where everybody was like together. And, when they started doing stuff, when they tried to run us off the internet, they weren't able to do it because we were too cohesive. And I still believe that that's the reason why everybody started beefing with each other, because we were gearing up to fight a war and it was over before it started. And we were still sitting around wanting to go to war with somebody. So we started just going to war with each other.